Hi guys, welcome to another edition of As I Was Saying. So my guest tonight is one of the most talented and interesting people I think in electronic music. He's been nominated for 6 Grammys. He's produced music with Pharrell, Cascade and Rob Swire from Pendulum. He recently produced the excellent soundtrack from the Jonas Akerlund movie Polar. And you guys will know him as the genius in the Mousehead. And tonight my guest is deadmau5, and we're going to try and get Joel on the phone and chat to him.
Does this not have a portrait mode? No.
No. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, not really. Oh my God. So I took my hoodie off because it's cold up in here and I'm peeling everywhere. I must have gotten burnt. What's
good?
up? Yeah.
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 You glad to be on Instagram or?
Yeah, I love it. I get to put forth all of my agendas.
Right. So tonight we want to find out more about you. We want to find the sort of where your background into where you became today, and I want to know. Let's start off with where how did you get into music, your influences, and did you, when you were growing up, did your parents influence you at all with music?
Um, I think my parents influenced me with music. It all started out with this. I don't know. I probably said this in interviews before, so it's going to be very Googleable. But
No, it's not.
it
No, it's not.
it was like you remember. I don't know if they had that in the UK, but Columbia House.
No.
Oh,
What,
it was like
what?
they were like a compact disc distribution company
Oh, okay,
and all that
like a
stuff.
mail order company, that kind of thing.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
so it was like, oh, you get like 7 free CDs for a penny. This is before streaming services, before the internet
Yeah.
and all that stuff. So my dad goes ham, right? He buys like $1,000, don't you kids dare touch this CD player, hi-fi system for the house, and then he goes and orders like all this music, and he got like I almost felt like he wasn't really into music, and then just kind of picked like 7 random things. So we had like Enter Sandman, Steely Dan's greatest hits,
Easy
Tears for
Dan knows.
Fears. Yeah, it's just all these like weird things, and I think I was more like kind of enamored by the CD player system than the discs, but we only had like 7 of them, so I'd be like, put it in the thing and watch it like load in. Um, but obviously, because my library was very limited to just those 7 free CDs, that's like kind of just all I listened to for like a few years when I was like a little kid.
Yeah.
And
When was this? We talking like?
oh, it's like eight,
All right. Okay.
7, yeah.
Right.
And the thing that kind of caught my ear, especially, was like the Tears for Fears stuff, because I'm like, wait, this sounds different than Metallica's, you know,
Yeah.
Justice for All, and I kind of gravitated towards those kind of made up sounds, like computer sounds and stuff like that. And then, fast forward many years, I just began at the time, I'm sure, I think we're around the same age, like when we were 16, 17. There's no readily available technology or software or anything for someone to say, I
Yeah.
want to go and make electronic music.
Yeah.
It was just Kit
Yeah.
and
It
MIDI,
was.
and that's
Yeah.
it. And maybe an Atari ST.
Yeah. Well, the Commodore 64, Atari ST, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first
Yeah.
DAW, was C-Lab,
Yeah.
with that massive dongle that stuck out of the side of the
Yeah.
thing, and
No, I remember.
you had to blow on it like broken Sega
Yeah.
cartridge to get it to work. And sometimes, yeah, that was the first DAW that I ever used. And but I mean, moving forward, like into the future, when now that I'm playing with VSTs and stuff like that, all this tech and all that stuff stems from that,
Yeah.
because it's an emulation of that kind of
Yeah.
technology. So it all became super like, oh, okay, I see what this does. With
With when you decided, obviously, because you were a computer programmer as well, weren't you? That was one of your.
Well, yeah, to a degree. I mean, I
Degree.
wasn't writing applications, but I was
No,
definitely
but
using a lot of like
yeah,
IDEs to. I mean, my first computer job was making coupons in Corel Draw for my local newspaper, you know.
Corel. Well,
Corel Draw.
it's,
Yeah,
I
I'm
thought you
that
were going to say
old.
clip art, but the Corel Draw's taking it to another level. That was like,
No,
um,
no, like you know the coupons in the
yeah,
newspaper.
yeah,
Someone
yeah.
has to make them.
No, I know.
Yeah,
And Corel Draw served that purpose. And
yeah,
um, when you talk about bands like Steely Dan and Tears for Fears, it's bands that I loved as well, and they were definitely an influence into my sound. But getting to the electronic stage when you were like, right, this is kind of the direction I want to go in. Were there influences from the electronic scene that you were looking at?
yeah, yeah. One, it's actually kind of funny. There's this one guy from Ontario. I don't know if any of the fans and friends know them. That there's this guy, Chris Shepherd, and he was like the ambassador of all the things coming from the UK into Canada, right?
Right.
Because you know, it's the pecking order of where it came from and how it stemmed is debatable, right? But he was the guy that brought the stuff from the UK. And this guy's from like, I don't know, he's from like Windsor or something. He's like super close to where I live. And but his radio show, he put on like this thick, heavy English accent. So just I don't know why, just to make it like, you know, more authentic, like I am the embodiment. It's just like assuming like Richie Houghton you'd think was from Berlin.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
from Windsor, you know, like that kind of thing. So he was that guy, except he hammed it. He played the part, right? And
Yeah.
of course, we were young and we all bought into it and all that stuff. So you know, he'd be doing, you know, hey, thanks Niagara Falls for having me a part of my world tour. It's like, you know, so he was the guy that delivered all this stuff. Like he had a couple songs himself, and he was the dude that the kids in the high school talked about with in the electronic music clique before EDM was even a term. You know, it wasn't even called electronic music. It was like, oh, the
And
techno or rave music, or you know.
what year was this, do you think? What year was this
Oh
at?
God, 90s, 91, 92.
Wow.
We had a big program called Electric Circus in Toronto, which is basically like a soul train for dance
Yeah.
music. Basically, when dance music just
Was it kind of
just
like your Pete Tong to us, that kind of thing?
way cheesier, less authentic, but yes, yeah.
Yeah.
It
If
was
you
it
had to
was it
like,
was us emulating the real deal over there. You know, it was kind of funny, but
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, that's cool. And then and producing. When do you think you produced your first record that you were happy with? When was that? When was that
Oh,
kind of?
TBD, buddy. Yeah, I just keep working and working and working, assuming that my next is going to be better. So it's
Yeah.
like, you know what?
Yeah. But come
Yeah.
on, like, when was it that you were like, this is the, you know, we talk about, when I want to still talk about the early days of Joel, and before the deadmau5 thing came along, and we'll talk about that story. But did you think, right, 16, 17, you were like writing music and you were like, I really want to follow this path. I really feel like this is something I want to do.
Yeah, I feel like albums don't really come into effect until much later. But if you do
Yeah.
like one or two things and you make a couple bucks off it, then I
Yeah.
think that's just enough, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
So Smirnoff in Canada had this program that they were doing, and when we were kids, before I was like active in any kind of music space, we were little hangers outers, little scenesters and rave goers, and we went to a few like, you know, big budget raves and low budget let's break into Kensington Market raves, right?
Yeah.
So having done like maybe, you know, 20, 30 of those over a summer, you know, like attending, me and a group of friends would be like, well, we could do this. Like, we could put on an event, you know, like it's just, what, you don't need, it was at a time where you didn't need permits and you didn't need this and all that. You just needed a bunch of friends over word of mouth. Like, there was no Facebook, no Instagram. Everybody knew everybody in the little scenes and stuff. So we figured, fuck, we can handle this. Let's go talk to this guy that a friend of a friend knows that owns this nightclub in Toronto, and we can just rent it off him and we'll give him, you know, half the ticket sales. And you just don't open your club to the public that night. And he's like, all right. his name was Jay Thomas, and the nightclub in Toronto was Jet nightclub. And it was just on an off night where they weren't operating as a nightclub, and say, look, we want to book our own DJs, we want to bring our own stuff, we'll take care of everything, and then we'll give you half the ticket price. And it's like, you know, he's Mr. Business, so he's like, well, what are you charging for a ticket? And we're like, I don't know, like $6, you know, like. So we would do that, and then this JT guy comes down like later in my life, you know, he's like, I hear you're kind of sort of making music. This is before anyone even knows my name. Like, I was nowhere near deadmau5.
Did you start recording as deadmau5, or did you record?
No, I just did whatever. Like, the name changed every, like, nah, that's not cool enough. But I've already put out so many songs under that name. But by put out, I just mean uploaded somewhere, or put on tape. It used to be like Halcyon 441, and then it was Dread and Karma, and it's just like, you know, you go through your, I want to be this, I want to be that, I want to be this, I want to be that, you know. So it was a lot of experimentation
when you're younger, when you just don't know where you want to be, do you?
Yeah. You just want to do it, and you know, I'm not really worried about, you know, that kind of shit. So I made some completed songs, and I went back to this JT guy who had, you know, something to do with that nightclub. He also, this is how serendipitous this is. He worked under a guy who worked under Mark S. Berry, who has some weird connection to the guys that recorded the Beatles, or George Harrison, or something like that. I know. It's like friend of a friend of a guy of a guy. It's like that 7
uncles, brothers, sister.
So he's the man that you want. Not George Harrison, not Mark Berry, not the other guy, but the dude below him was like the man that you went to with your demo because he knew people in the industry, you know, and they, you know, and he's like, well, you know, hey man, come to my office. It's like out on Richmond Street, like any nondescript office. And I'm thinking, like, you know, you're going to be walking into Capitol Records, and, you know, he's smoking a big cigar in a leather chair. Nothing like that. But that's what you envision.
Yeah.
Know? So I'm like, holy shit, I'm nervous as hell. I go into this guy's office. I bring him a little, like, I don't even know if I had a USB key thing. But I a CD-ROM probably with my shit on it, and he's playing it, and he's chin stroking like he gets it, you know, and he doesn't, but he's like, okay, well, let me talk to some friends of mine, we'll see if we can, you know, work something out. And I was like, great. I don't even know what the fuck that just meant or what's gonna happen after this, but I got to sit in this guy's office and playing my shit, so that was cool. So I walk away. He emails me back like a month later, and he's like, okay, so I think I have a placement for this. It's on a thing called the Smirnoff Experience, which was handled by an advertising company. Yeah. So he put those 2 tracks on that compilation.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know, this is like kind of big time because it's going to go on all these bottles of alcohol, and it's going to be shipped with the alcohol. And I'm like, it's not really like an album or an artist signing, but it's something, you know. Yeah. It's like, you know, I'll give you a couple $1,000. And I was like, holy shit. Yeah. You know, like $2,000.
Trying to play it cool. You're like,
damn. Yeah, exactly. Like, and I was like, fuck, I'll take it. Yeah, but I was like, okay. Thinking I just robbed a bank, basically. Little did I know, you know, like, but so I signed away my life for those tracks, basically, for you know, maybe 2 months equivalent of rent in Toronto, which is about that. So that was cool.
Yeah, and that was under the deadmau5 name. That was the first. Or
no, it was under Halcyon 441. Right. Actually. Okay. Yeah.
We'll have to try and dig them tracks up again. I'd love to hear what they sound like.
Oh, they're probably on the internet. It's Halcyon 441, I think, is deadmau5 Smirnoff Experience. I'm sure you could find it.
Amazing.
But they were on the little mini CDs. You know, that little inner tray of the CDs? It's like the little one.
Used to put them in the middle. Yeah.
It's like half a release.
I want to talk about how I first heard about you. Now, I remember hearing this fucking amazing record, and it was Ben Watt playing it, and it was obviously Fax in Berlin. Now, and you know how much I love this record because the amount of times I've asked you know how many times I've asked you to remix it, and you're like, no, I don't got the rights. Fuck it, you're not doing it.
I'm so mad at that. I am still to this day the saltiest fucking dude over that.
I know, but for me, that record represents everything that's good about electronic music, because I heard Ben Watt play it, and Ben Watt was like a deep house DJ. I heard Marcus White play it. I heard Cole Cox play it. I heard Tiesto play it. Obviously, you played it. And it's the record. What I love about the record is that it didn't really have a genre. It kind of went everywhere. Do you know what I mean? It's like everyone's dream to have a record that's played by everyone in the industry. And it was 2006, I think it was. And me and James Zabila are just about to do the 1+1 tour. And
I remember not being able to get into that. And then Surge had to come out, and we were like honestly, we could not get past the doorman.
Yeah, it was, and I remember just going, I want to play with this kid. Like this guy's music is just unfucking believable, and I remember the first time, it was in Monterrey, in Mexico. You played, I played. And then I said, let's go back to back. And you're like, well, I'm on my computer. And I'm like, yeah, it's fine. I can pitch with my CDJ, and you can kind of pitch with your computer. And I remember me and you were playing. It's about 7 a.m. I think we both missed our flights. And you turn around to me and Nick, you're like, the club's on fire. The club's on fire. And we turn around, and the DJ booth, I think it was a light box. Do you remember it?
Yeah.
And the light box.
And the power went out, and it was pitch black.
Yeah. And this wall was on fire, and then the Mexicans went, "Don't worry, we've got the garden, so come in the garden."
He's gonna bring the hose from the back. We'll take care of it.
How do you feel that moment with that record was the moment that you kind of like, I'm here now. This is what I want to. Where not in an arrogant way, but like I'm really, this is what I want to do.
No.
No,
I think it was actually later than that. I'm kind of by nature like the pessimistic kind of guy, because I know that stuff happened all the time. Like, I mean, bless his heart, talented dude, but it's like Gregory Tresher, Thousand Nights.
How another one that's just an absolute genius.
But where I'm going with this is the follow through just wasn't consistent.
Yeah. But you know how hard it is, though, to stay at the top in this industry. It's very difficult.
Insanely difficult. But I don't mean, I'm not throwing shade by a long shot, because I respect him big time as a musician and a producer in that regard. But it's just like, I had that kind of mindset about me where it was like, okay, so you did one.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. But a little fucking this and that, but you have to, from here on out.
Yeah.
Nail your place and stay that way,
Yeah. And then obviously the album came, didn't it? Just after that, where you did was it what was the album? Facts in Berlin was on there. I'm trying to think the other records that were on the album. Another couple of other records. Was it the one with Cascade? Was that on there? Remember as well?
I can't remember what album on that. I've only done 4. It's like I've done 100 albums. I haven't.
No. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, but. It was definitely. We're googling yourself now.
I'm looking at my discography here.
It was random album title.
Yes.
Random album title, and I do remember this. And that that was kind of, I've arrived. This is it. And is that? Do you think that I think that album was a turning point. I really do. I think because you weren't touring in the UK as well, and I remember you coming to play for me at the Ministry as well, didn't you? And that was your early day stuff. And then after that, we couldn't book you for anything.
except Kent.
Yes, yeah, but how long did that take? That took 15 years.
Yeah, that's true. Except a 200-person nightclub in Kent. That was no problem. That was
right.
Easy.
That was easy. Obviously, the Mouse Head became a cult thing, didn't it?
To a degree, yeah.
Come on, I've been to so many raves where I've looked into the crowd, and the amount of effort and attention to detail kids are doing to replicate.
Yeah, it's nuts. I've seen some that are better than mine. I'm like, holy crap, this is so cool. It's cool. I mean, for me, the whole thing behind it is like, one question I get out is, where can I get one? And I'm like, well, you can't. You got to make it. And I mean, really not much is stopping me from, hitting up some fabrication company
I don't know.
and
Yeah,
knocking these things out.
you're missing a trick there.
No, 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 I'm not. I'm not, because it encourages, an authenticity within that group of people that are fans and stuff like that. For them to make their own, it's enabling, self-expression, however they want to make it, like that
Yeah,
kind of thing, as opposed to looking at a sea of clones. I wouldn't really feel too good about that.
yeah, yeah. I've got another question. Do you obviously you obviously are an amazing producer, but if you had the choice between DJing and playing live, what do you prefer?
They're both the same at this point.
Yeah,
Because it's just like, you know as well as I do, it's like you can't exactly bring your studio everywhere. And when
yeah,
you are creating and doing things live in the studio, it's not that. It's auditioning a loop for an hour and a half,
yeah,
you know, getting things right, so, or, DJing versus live. DJing is one track. DJing or performing live is many tracks with, parameters that let you intermingle parts and do this and that. So I don't really see that there's this big disconnect between
yeah,
DJing and live performing, and outside of the technology used to
yeah.
deliver
No,
music.
I agree with you there. I think what I'm probably trying to say is from your live shows where it's kind of a direction of all your own productions, or
Mm.
all the way through to your test pilot stuff where when me and you play back to back, you're
And
like,
and then it's just whatever. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, is there or is it just up? It just changes. Like one day you're like, I like that, and then one day you do this. Is that kind of why you came up with the test pilot kind of
Yeah,
moniker?
and another that is absolutely one reason. The other one is because a lot of, like, kind of clubs would be booking deadmau5, but then just saying, you just play whatever you want, because you're a DJ as built as such. So I'm like, well, then you know what? I'm gonna play stuff that I like, and maybe I'll put one or two of mine in, and then at the end of the day, they're all like, "Yeah, what? When is he gonna play Ghosts and stuff?" And that Medina one, and this and that, and I'm like, well, I mean, I'm not wrong. You book me as a DJ, I'm gonna DJ. So just to clear that up with, kind of
Yeah,
promoters and events and stuff,
yeah,
now we've just kind of made it so that, look, here's Joel with his techno hat on, here's
yeah.
Joel with his mouse hat on. Okay, pick one, because if
And,
you ask for both, you're gonna get either or.
and I think that's great that you've got that availability to you, that you can actually do that. It's very hard for people, I feel, that are in one genre to jump out of that genre and to find a new audience, because I think your test pilot audience is probably a little bit different to your deadmau5 audience.
Sure. And that's good that you can offer fans of both, like I believe that, I think I even have fans that just don't like my music, but like my ethic and my aesthetic.
Like your character.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's something to be said about the whole deadmau5 thing. It's like you're masking yourself, and you're creating this character, and people love that. And then they might not know your records, but they know who you are.
Right.
And they're engaging with what you do. And I think that's really, really interesting. Even my 9-year-old kid knows who deadmau5 is, but he doesn't really care about his dad's music. So your fan base is obviously a lot wider. So.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's really refreshing to stake that claim early in your career, so that way the world doesn't freak out when you put out, a top 40 pop hit with Pharrell, and then the next night go and play a banger, Burning in Hell couldn't be more underground than that techno set.
Yeah.
On EDC or something, like I think a lot of other artists have just stayed too small of a claim, that if they did anything outside of that, they're like looked at funny, or just like, whoa, this is not what I know and love.
No, and that was one of the great things, after I kind of, we hadn't played back to back since 2007, and then when we played back to back I think it was last year. Yeah, it was last year.
It was at the one in Kent.
I don't even know what year it is now, because we've been locked up for such a long
We're
time.
not counting this as a year. I'm sorry.
But I remember, and it was so much fun. You know, we were playing back to back, and I was like, we couldn't have done that with with your that other sort of genre, because your main stage concert sort of stuff. But with your test pilot moniker, we could do that, and it was like we didn't want to stop playing, and I liked seeing you like that. Do you know what I mean? I like
Yeah,
seeing
yeah.
that you were
There's times and places for that kind of
yeah,
tomfoolery, or whatever, or just having fun and hanging out and doing what you want or what feels right in the moment and what people are enjoying or not enjoying. I don't consider the place a workplace all the time. Sometimes I do though,
yeah,
because some shows are billed as deadmau5 shows, fueled by deadmau5's tech and this and that, and have to be done in such a representative way to how that was billed and what it stands for, as
yeah.
opposed to just kind of billing a deadmau5 show with like no production and then me just playing, old school classics because hey, we're bringing it back. That'd be weird.
Tell me an artist that you would love to collab with that you haven't. There's obviously lots, but if there's one person you could tell me that that you'd want to make a record with, who would it be?
I would a full record.
And not an album, a single, a track or whatever, just something to get in the studio with someone and deadmau5 versus someone.
Oh, Rose.
Yeah,
with 2 R's.
Sorry,
Rose with 2 R's. R Rose. You know
okay.
what I'm talking about?
No. I'm gonna
look it up. Really good stuff.
Yeah.
Enrico Sanguinaro.
Sanguinaro. Yeah. He's making.
Met him once. Nice guy.
Really nice guy, and he's making some amazing techno. Really great techno. He's coming out the Adam Byers sort of drum code a lot, isn't he? So, okay, cool. And then, is there anything you kind of like, especially for young people coming through in the industry, that you kind of would have done differently than what you did now? I know there's always that.
You know what? It's really funny you asked that, because I'm going through all those motions with a new artist right now that I'm looking at for Mousetrap, and we've been kind of communicating back and forth, because like this he shall remain nameless for this conversation, but like his sound, it's like I am a man of few compliments in terms of distribution. But this kid really caught my ear, like in a musical sense, a production sense, and all this stuff. And I've been chatting with him on Discord about things as we kind of get his package together and line things up. I'm now rewinding in my mind, all the nightmares and all the successes and everything that I've done from day one, and I've been kind of reciting these out to him and saying, look, this is what you need to do, and this is from personal experience. This isn't a playbook, but know this, know that, know this, know that. And honestly, that conversation went on for hours, because I was like, and you should probably, just to give, and I actually felt really liberating for me too, because it was just like, affirmation of my own fuck ups, but then also helping him avoid his,
Yeah, it's nice to see you doing that. You kind of brought through another great artist, Skrillex, didn't you, as well? You signed him to your label, and he obviously went on to do amazing things. But I felt when I had that same question asked to me once, and I was kind of thinking, do you know what? The one thing I wish I didn't do was listen to everyone's opinion. That was the one that killed me, because when I was coming through in the early days, I kind of felt that you've got to do this, you've got to do that, and you were just like, I was young, green, and I was like, yeah, okay, cool, I do that, I do that, and I wish I kind of carried it a little bit more in without taking too much influence off other people, and that was a big one for me. And that's one I tell that younger generation that are coming through, just make your own decisions.
Within reason, but especially to creative. Yes.
Yeah.
I think this is like the conversation we had was more like administrative and how to start and how not to sign something that ultimately ends up in an 8-year-long court battle.
There you go.
Yeah, stuff like that. The little things.
I want my music back.
Yeah. It's Dina's birthday today, by the way. Speaking of court battles.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We
Maybe
need
give
to
her a
get
message.
we need to get their records back, man. We need to get
Yeah.
them back. Right. I found out that you did the soundtrack for Polar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't know this, so I was scanning it and I was like, this is epic. How did that
It's
come about?
funnily enough, because like I've like you know how they like when you have a meeting with an agency, kind of at our point, they're like, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to do film scores? And I was just like, sure, yeah, like I'll take anything, whatever. Just like I'll do anything that's not a Fast and Furious. Okay, just put that in your notes, And it turned out like again, it's just like one of these like 7 degrees of separation thing that Jonas Ackerland
Yeah.
was with our same agency looking for, and he mentioned me because he liked my sound and all this stuff because for a few key scenes in the movie, and then he's okay, we'll put you in touch, and then I got talking to him, and then I recognized the name at a glance, kind of thing. I'm like, how do I know this? I know of this name, right? And then I realized he's the drummer from one of my favorite bands. So like, I didn't even care what it was. I was just like, yes.
Was Jonas Ackerland was?
Yeah, he was the drummer. He was part of a band called Burzum.
Oh, right, okay.
Oh, no, not Burzum. Sorry, the other one.
The other favorite band.
Oh, yeah, my other favorite band. Shit. Anyway, Norwegian black metal band who has a name that I do frequent. And I kind of vaguely knew his whole story, which was like part of that crazy time in Norway when black metal was kind of surfacing, and then it got really fucking weird. He was kind of in the middle of all that as a player in that game, so to speak. And he just got through that and somehow ended up being like directing Rihanna's music videos and becoming a director because it's one of his passions is being a writer director guy. So, and then, words came around to, that he's producing this film and he asked about you. And I was like, like, don't even send the script. Just,
yeah.
Yeah. And then we met, of course, and talked about it and saw the script and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, this is cool. Like I'm down. But I think to start, what I ended up doing was just going in, those like idea bin folders, and then just, yeah, that's cool. And then just bouncing them off him. And then he's like, I like that. And I'm like, okay, I'll go in and rework that. So that's how that all kind of came to be. So it wasn't really 100% created from scratch on that particular project because the time was like super short. It was like, you got like 2-3 months.
But the music is all produced by you, isn't it? The whole
yeah.
So, but what is it? How is the process like with making a film score? Do you have to watch the whole movie and then write the score around it?
It helps.
Yeah, I've never actually experienced or done it.
Well, the thing is like, okay, so I guess, and this is just me, but they'll have like a really rough cut of the film already done before they even send that kind of stuff out. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just have a script because they have to employ you at a reasonable time that helps you get, the time allotted that needs you to do to release.
Yeah.
They can't finish the movie and then wait on you to do a soundtrack, so
yeah.
I had really early cuts of the whole film, and sometimes, and I would be like, oh man, I wish you didn't film all this before, and then I could have started writing this much earlier and stuff like that. So it just depends. It's like there are composers literally whose jobs are to work under the most insane deadlines and just slam stuff out.
I remember reading an article with Hans Zimmer, and Hans Zimmer used to get Miami Vice on a Tuesday, and he used to have to compose the whole episode by the Friday.
Yep. Yeah. It's a deadline game. It's not. Oh, sorry, the film's been postponed a month while our famous composer, is having artistic difficulty. Yeah.
Is it something that you'll do again? Do you think? Would you like to?
Absolutely. Actually, there's talks of a sequel for that film. Same director.
Yeah.
So, and I that really got me excited because now I can start when they start. Because by the time they even got a hold of me, the film was like 80 filmed, and they were just editing and color correcting at that point.
Yeah.
So to work from the beginning this time would be awesome.
Yeah. Um, I want to talk about your new record now. I
What new record, Nick?
I want to. This I had a phone call from Milo, and he goes, "You've got to check out the new deadmau5 record." I'm like, right, okay. And then
Milo,
I'm like,
Milo,
Milo, Milo,
bitch, like the
Milo, yeah.
Oh yeah, cool.
And I was like, okay, because like I was like, I didn't know the sort of the earlier day stuff was really like I loved, and then obviously your stuff kind of changed, and I could never really fit it into my sets, and then he's like, no, you've got to listen to this record. He's done it with the Neptunes. And I was like, really? Wow, that's going to be so interesting. And I heard it, and it just blew me away. And it's like it was like a new, like it was just really fresh sounding, and it was really interesting. And we've just been speaking to Dean about it, how good it is. And how did that come about?
Well, funnily enough, I mean, I'm trying not to say this to too many people, but I wrote that track 5 years ago.
Perfect.
It's just one of those. If one were so inclined, you could type deadmau5 space Rupert in Google, and you'll find that song. A less polished version of it, of course, because I had taken it, re-engineered it, remixed it, redid everything to it, but
yeah,
pretty much the same thing.
Okay,
and that was the idea that I took to Chad and Pharrell, and then said, let's make this into a body of work. And they were like, because you don't go, when you collaborate, it's like if me and you were to collaborate right now, and then you came over and we had nothing, just like literally Logic open, nothing on it. We'd just be staring at each other for the first like 5 minutes, like.
Yeah. It'd be that awkward silence where we'd just be like, okay, do you want to start? Or should I
Drum
start?
and bass, dubstep, pop. Sky's the limit.
Was it pretty cool working with Pharrell? Because he obviously
it was interesting to watch. It actually reminded me a lot when we did the Where's the Drop album, where I like sat in the studio with 72 players, so like a full orchestra, and then hearing them play back my stuff. Like it was I wouldn't say religious, but it was up there. Almost the same feeling I got with Pharrell, because he comes in, me and the engineer are just playing the track, nodding our heads, making little minor adjustments. He comes in and he's like, okay, walks into the booth, gets on the mic, and then just starts singing. And we're like, and I'm looking at the engineer because he sees this every day with him, but I'm just seeing this for the first time, and I'm looking at the engineer with are you recording this? Like, because you should, and he's like, he'll just do it. And I'm like, all right, So that was pretty cool, because he's a talent. He's a writing talent, and he's a very talented vocalist. I mean, I've seen my share of vocalists, and I've gotten my share of stems, and I've had to use my share of processors to make them less them. But him, it was just in and out, and he was.
I'm super jealous, mate, because he's one of my idols. So working with someone like Pharrell. Does this mean an album on the way, do you reckon?
Yeah. Oh, I thought that's what you said. So about this new record, I thought it was new album, and it's like everyone's like new album, new album,
singles, records. Then
albums. Okay. I will say this: I am tentatively shooting for October, November for a full CD of music, or whatever the album standards are these days.
Can I get it on the Columbia Club?
Yes. Nah.
Direction wise, same.
I honestly, I couldn't tell you right now, because it's not all really compiled just yet. But a lot of collaborations. Because when working with the Neptunes, I got in touch with some other singers and songwriters during that time, because it was at that time where it's like, okay, let's just reach out to a whole bunch of people and then just work on the one thing or whatever. So I'm pretty sure a lot of similar ideas went to this person, went to that person, but then this other person got a hold of me, and I gave them the same idea, and they kind of did a better job. I said, sorry, you're out, or whatever, stuff like that. So, so I've made a cacophony of like a team of people and collaborators that I've done projects with, and I'm gonna start to compile that, and then also just do my own original works in there. So it'll be more of a listening album as opposed to like,
something you might play, like maybe edits for your live show, something like that, but
it'll be cool.
Yeah, looking forward to listening to it, like a lot of people. So just before this whole COVID epidemic happened, you just finished your last tour, hadn't you? Just before, you know, so you finished
The day. I'll bet you. I don't know, man. I have this theory. I think we already got it.
Yeah.
Me and all of our crew in Chicago, because we were out for like 2 days, couldn't move, couldn't whatever, you know, but this was like the end of February.
Yeah.
And then we
You
get
finished in New York.
home.
You finished in New York, didn't you?
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
we finished in New York, and we didn't think much of it because whatever. But then, you know, as the months unfolded, we were like, holy shit, right? And everyone's staying home and all this stuff. And then I got back to thinking, I'm like, but we never got, like, it's not like you get a flu or a cold. You don't, you know, at that time you didn't run out and go get tested and all that. So we may never know. But I mean, I'm still taking every precaution like I don't. But it's just my theory.
Yeah. How have you been dealing with? Do you have the same kind of lockdown in Canada? You're in Canada, aren't you, at the moment?
Yeah.
How have you dealt with, like, you know, a lot of people I've been speaking to on these chats, you know, everyone's been doing different things, finding new hobbies and, you know, like, you know, and stuff like that. But from you, you're a studio guy, so this is probably...
Nick, are you seriously about to ask me how I've dealt with staying away from people?
I'm trying to...
I'm like the social distancing champion 5 years running now.
It's hard for me because I don't do it, because when me and you are together, we're all right, you know. So it's like you come to my gigs. I don't think you come to anyone else's gigs. So it's like, so I always see you in the non-social distancing aspect. So I see you as, like, you know, as in yourself. But how, you know, what have you know? Because you've got a big team as well, haven't you? You've got like you've got a big team. Have you?
Well, it's things have changed 100%, no doubt. Like, both in terms of, like, well, as you and I know, but maybe not everybody knows, no touring, no money, you know, no money, no business, you know, no business, no employees. You know, myself and Dean and all the people that work, you know, on deadmau5 things or even mousetrap related things. It's like quite a few mouths to feed. So the big challenge and difference now is keeping ways to keep the business modular so that we can adapt to these times, kind of. You know what I mean? And right now it's kind of you know, I don't want to say sad, but like half heartbreaking to know that, like, a lot of our businesses only have 2 ways to go. And everyone's obviously, streaming. We gotta do live streams because that will support our company. No, it won't, because that doesn't pay. You know, so it's weird. It's being inventive, and coming up with inventive things.
The experience for me, I don't know about you, is made me more humbling. It's a humbling experience in the sense of it's very sad because a lot of people like ourselves, you know, there's no revenue at the moment. There's no touring. There's amazing people that work behind the scenes, especially for you, because you've got a big team. And, you know, I feel that our industry as well is, especially for, like, you've got tour managers, you've got lighting guys, you've got sound guys, you've got people that work at the venues, you've got people, you know, it's just sad to see that.
Yeah, but Nick, it's a pandemic, not a permademic.
No, I know, you're right. You know, you're right. And this is what I was about to get to. this. And I really do believe, and I've said this, that we will come out of this and our industry will be unbelievable. I really do.
And here's my thought, for a very short amount of time.
Yeah. Well,
okay. Until we hit that point of no more music festivals, guys. Stop. It's just too much.
Yeah.
You know, like, I thought I would have like, if we didn't have this thing going on and there was no such thing as the pandemic right now, I would have thought a pandemic would have meant that everybody would be releasing albums within the first month. And that hasn't happened. You know what I mean?
But how creative can you be? Like, my creative process is getting influenced and going out. That's my creative process. Like, I will go and I will DJ, you know me, I DJ week in, week out, and I listen to music and I get influenced. I'm at home, I'm like, who's actually going to listen to my records? Because I don't, you know, it's hard to get that inspiration. Very
Right, right. So there's like it's like 20% just head and hands panic, and then
yeah.
the other 60% is just kind of getting your foothold in this situation, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, for me especially, it was sad because we were about to do our back-to-back thing in Miami with your test pilot show, and it was just like it was going to happen, it wasn't going to happen, and then it was just like, that's it, nothing's happening in dance music.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, just
Yeah,
sane talk here, you know, as everybody does, like the things that we need to do, and put, you know, the matters at hand, you know, and get our priorities right and
no,
deal
you're
with
right.
the important stuff, then it's fine. I'm not concerned about the music industry economic downturn over the next 5 years. We'll all deal with that, you
No,
know,
that's
as
right.
it comes.
That's the best
It's not,
mentality to have as well.
yeah.
You know, it's everyone's in, you know, has got to deal with their situation, and I think we'll get through it, and I think that, you know, the hopefully, you know, people, because that's the one thing that you get the most with the younger generation. They just want to go out and they want to listen to music, and I think that's the amazing thing, that just they want to get back to reality. And
Well, right, because
yeah,
like 99.9% of our demographics aren't producers and are worried about the music industry. They're doing other things with their lives, but that's a big part of their life, and they want to go out and enjoy it, and then
yeah,
that's what's holding them back, you know.
yeah.
So
Right, mate. I want to say thank you for tonight. It was
yeah, no
amazing.
problem, man.
It was. I'm glad that I managed to convince you to come onto Instagram and
The one time.
let people find out more about you, and for me as well. You know, it's kind of nearly 20 years of friendship, so it was nice to.
I will leave you on the note, and everyone else. The biggest, actually, one of the best pieces of advice I ever got from anyone was from Nick in Mexico, when we were stranded at the curb at the airport with the guy trying to pick us up, and I'm freaking out because I'm neurotic, I'm weird, I'm like, oh my God, we're gonna miss this, we're gonna miss that, this is gonna get canceled, this is fucked up that they're not here. Nick grabs me and he goes, relax. And then every time after that, I've gotten in one of these stressful ass situations where it was like you had the car and the guy was late or the rider wasn't there.
Yeah.
I just see Nick grabbing my shoulders going, relax. And I'm like, okay. And now I am relaxed.
Good.
Because
Good.
that shit will sort itself out, and you need not stress over it. Because
No.
you're a fucking DJ superstar, and people will work hard to make sure the shit gets done.
Well, listen, mate. I can't wait to hear the album. I can't wait to see you again and catch up in not over the virtual world, and
Yeah.
and I wish you
Yeah,
nothing
well, now that I finally figured out that I even have WhatsApp and know what the fuck it is, like,
well,
stay in touch, man.
you can message me back, and good luck with the album. Good luck with everything. Love to your family, your wife, everyone, mate, and thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, Nick.
All right, you take care.
All right, ta.
See you. Bye, man. Hey guys, thanks for listening to another edition. As I was saying, I hope you found that interesting. You know, Joel has obviously told us a lot about how he got into music and where he got to, and with his deadmau5 moniker, and lots of cool stories there. And I look forward to interviewing my next guest, which we'll be announcing pretty soon. And hope you're all safe and all good. And take care. See ya.